I say that in terms of information arbitrage between a buyer and a seller. In terms of how to create value, that's a different question. You know what I mean? Like how do I communicate value to a prospect? That's, you know, the entirety of persuasion and all that other stuff. But like in terms of like how do we pursue opportunities? Opportunity itself, which is just like this big word that people like to throw around, but like what is opportunity? How do you have a good opportunity versus bad opportunity? I see it as three variables. So you have the total number of potential units to sell, which some people call TAM, right? Total addressable market. But how many units of this widget could I potentially sell? Number one. Number two is what is the value to cost discrepancy? So how much profit can I potentially make solving this particular problem? And then number three is what are the competitive dynamics within that marketplace? So an example that has two of the three would be like, what if I wanted to sell cell phone service? But what are the competitive dynamics? Well, there's a lot of really entrenched players. It's very hard to get into that, right? And so when I'm looking at an opportunity, I want to see all three. Now, the difficulty with using those three is that equation can evolve over time. And so if you're starting a business right now, you might not have, you know, sell something that everyone in the world can buy, right? Actually, there's probably not many things that everyone in the world can buy. I was talking to they sold Kangen water. It's like alkaline water.
Yeah.
And you know, I was talking about their TAM, and they're like, everybody drinks water. I was like, yeah, but no one's buying a $2,000 water machine. So the TAM isn't everybody. It's people who are foo-foo enough to buy $2,000 water machines, which is a much smaller of the 7 billion people on Earth, where 80% of them don't have internet. I don't think your TAM is as big as you think it is, right? But as you get into business, you learn more, and then you realize that you can expand your market in one way or another. And I could get into how the different ways you can expand your market, but
yeah, give us a little taste.
Yeah.
So the one thing I remember from maybe one of the things that you taught me was to think about the scalability of things. Yeah,
100%. And the scalability comes. There's the entrepreneur component, which is like, you know, skills, traits, beliefs, which you can hit that if you want. But then there's the scalability of the deliverable, which is like, how do I create a deliverable that is more scalable? If you think about my trajectory, I first got in shape, and I had a job, right? And then I started selling fitness services because that was a skill that I learned. And then I got other people to do fitness services for me. So this is all levels of leverage. So like opportunity is just a fancy word for leverage. And then after that, I sold licensing, which was with media, right? So my cost of my incremental costs were basically zero, right? Every new customer was very low for me to didn't cost me much to add them, right? Compared to how much money I could make from them. And so with the different business, you know, the different iterations of fundamentally the same skill set, I knew how to get people in shape. That was the skill set, right? I added in learning how to market, learning how to sell, and those were things that added value, right? And that was when we get into the entrepreneur skills, traits, beliefs, like that was from that side, but that is why I was able to climb the opportunity ladder and gain more leverage on the opportunity that I was pursuing. And with regards to how do you increase your total addressable market, like, so there's 4 ways to increase it, there's 5 ways to adjust it. So you can go up market, which means you're selling to bigger versions of the same thing. So let's say I was helping hair salon owners. I could help people who have chains of hair salons, or I could help franchisors or licensors of hair salons. It'd be a much smaller demo, but they'd be much bigger clients. It'd be enterprise, right? I could go down market, which would be selling smaller versions, which would be like I could sell hairstylists, right? If I want to go down market from there, people who aspire to be hairstylists, right? So it's like a pyramid. So you go up market, you can go down market, you can go adjacent market, which is what's similar to hairstylists that probably has similar wants and needs. So probably be like a lash salon or
nail salon or something.
Nail salon, yeah, exactly. So that would be an adjacent market. Or I could go broader. So broader is where you take all adjacent markets under one umbrella, which would be beauty, right? So it'd be like, I help all beauty type brick and mortar businesses, right? That would be going broader. And so those are the 4 ways you can increase the total addressable market of whatever thing that you're serving. The 5th is you can go narrower. So I say that you can increase it 4 ways. The 5th is you go narrower, you get more specific about the constraints that you apply to the requisites to become a customer. The reason that most times with businesses that I take on in the portfolio, it's actually the first step we do is we actually narrow it most times. And it's because they don't even know who they serve, and they don't know who they serve best. And so when you're starting out, one of the best practices you can do is the fancy word is a common factor analysis, but basically what do all the best clients we have in common? So if we take 100 clients and we look at the top 20%, because there's Pareto, they're probably responsible for 80% of the revenue anyways. We look at that 20%, we say, what do they all have in common? And then what if we only sold that amount of people and we sold now the same 100, but they were all of that 20%? Right. Well, we would 5x our revenue. Same operational drag, because it's the same size company, but we're selling better customers. And most people, you know, I get on with entrepreneurs all the time, and they're like, I think I've saturated my market. And I'm like, all right, what's your revenue? They're like, $2 million a year. I'm like, okay, well, the market you're serving is a $60 billion industry, and you are making $2 million a year. Do you feel? I was like, do you feel like you might be premature, or you just don't know how to get more customers? They're like, well, I guess I don't know how to get more customers. Like, that's a problem that's solvable. So let's solve that, right? And so then we can break it down. There's a million ways to get customers. So I can break that down too. If you want.
Is there a certain type of business or industry that you gravitate to for the acquisition? What is
Yeah. So we work with business services, consumer services, ideally businesses that are e-learning, course, like I love licensing models. So I love
low overhead.
Yeah,
low
high
cost of
cash.
goods,
Yeah, exactly.
high margin.
Yep. And the problems that those companies typically have, and we take them on usually between 3 and 10 million is when we, like in top line sales is when we start working with them. The problems that they usually have is that it's too founder led, it's too personality brand driven. They don't have enough customer lifetime value, as in they sell something one time and they can't get people to keep buying, they can't get people to stick, they have high churn. But they typically have high cash flow, but it's very dependent on usually one or maybe two channels of acquisition.